Hi everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I'm here with another Stash Kit Saturday video for you. This is actually the fifth layout that I have used my stash kit with, this particular stash kit with. And I am first going to pull out a photo of Kaylin, and this is kind of a collage photo. This is of him playing in the ice when we had an ice storm. And I have no plan for this layout at all, other than that I knew I wanted to use these Pen Pals Alphas. They are like a navy blue banner type like pennant. I guess they're pennants really, alphas, because it has the navy, and then Kaylin's wearing he's got that navy hat or that blue puffball hat on in this photo. So I knew I wanted to use those, and I knew I wanted to use a white background because I want more of a simplistic style layout today. I've really been in kind of that style, and I think I've mentioned that before. So you got a kind of a simple look at everything that was left in the kit. I've got quite a bit left, of course, as I always do, because these kits are quite large whenever I make them. I never seem to be able to make small stash kits, and maybe that's a good thing because I have a lot in my stash, but these kits are quite massive, so I make a lot of layouts with them. But I really like having them at the ready and being able to use them whenever I'm ready to sit down and scrapbook. Also, I like the fact that I'm working with a Kit Day Thursday video because I have two different kits that I'm working with, and it keeps me from getting bored with a kit. I don't know if you guys are like that, but if I work with the same supplies for too long, I get bored with it. I do like doing one or two layouts with the same kit kind of in a row. So sometimes I do like two stash kit videos, like I'll make two stash kit layouts, and then I'll do like two Kit Day Thursday layouts together. I don't post them that way. I post them so you guys can kind of see them the way they are. But I kind of do that because once I pull out the supplies, I kind of get in a groove. But if I do too many layouts with one set of supplies, I get bored with it. So anyways, that was kind of a long, drawn-out explanation. But anyway, so I am working with this stash kit today, as you can see, obviously. I have went ahead and spelled out Ice Expedition 2016 edition with my letters, and I'm really not sure how I'm going to layer them, but these are I couldn't get the banner to work right, so I'm going to set this up here for a little bit and kind of let it marinate and see if I like it. And it's going to end up being some sort of variation of this. So I thought about putting 2016 Ice Expedition, but that was too long. It just doesn't look right. So I'm going to let this sit here for a little bit, let it marinate, and really kind of decide. And at some point, I do walk away before I make the decision to put the letters like that. I've got my photo matted here on this. It's like a wood plank or a tile plank print, I guess you can say, but it's kind of at the diagonal. It just reminds me of like tile flooring, but more of a modern looking tile flooring. But it's like a grayish, beige color background, but it's not very bold, and it really kind of just is a nice photo mat, but not bold and in your face. I do have these Studio Calico letters, and I don't have any E's, so I'm just taking a Sharpie and making an F into an E, and it works perfectly. You can't even tell. And looking at the final layout right now, if I had not just watched myself do it, I wouldn't have even known, because the Sharpie, the ultra fine point Sharpie, looks the same width as the font here on, or the like the whatever the font is on these letters. So you can't even tell that I had made that F into an E. And that actually is going to make these letters go a little bit further, because I do have two sets of them. They came in a kit that I had got at one point, and because I do have two sets of them, I have quite a lot of letters left, but I'm having a harder time making words with them. So if I can make the F's into E's, or L's into E's, or V's into A's, or something like that, I'm actually going to have a lot more versatility with the letters that I have left. So I'm going to do my journaling 3 times here before I really get satisfied with it. I was being very indecisive this day, and sometimes I go through that. Sometimes things just fall together, and sometimes they don't. I feel like that Oh Giant Christmas Tree layout I did a little while ago fell together perfectly, but then I have a layout where I just kind of like fiddle around with it. It just kind of, I think it depends on my day as well. If I've had a longer day at work or a lot of things going on, then I may just not It may just not be working for me. So I don't like the way that that looks. And then I found this little scrap piece of paper in my little scrap box, and I'm trying out a couple different pens to see what works. The problem with that first one is I didn't like the way that the pens worked on top of the lines that I had drawn. So I'm going to do all my journaling here using a gray Staedtler pen, and then I'm not going to like this either. Not going to like it either, but I'm doing my whole journaling. And I'm eventually going to find a scrap piece of white, like a card that I had cut apart that had journaling lines on the back. And I'm going to end up using that. And I'm not even going to use the ones where I had drawn my own journaling lines. I'm going to go ahead and read you the journaling since you're going to watch me write it out here like 3 times. It says, after days of waiting for the massive snowstorm that was projected, we only ended up with layers and layers of ice. In our expedition out, we found an old tree collapsed from the weight of the ice. As it fell, it created an ice tunnel for Kaylin to explore through. So these are photos. It's kind of hard to see unless you look at the photos up close, but there's a progression of him. So the photo, like the larger photo, is of him posing in front of it, and then the other smaller photos are really of him kind of crawling through or walking through this ice tunnel. And it's just like an old tree that had collapsed over, but it kind of draped over the sidewalk and it created a little tunnel. It was definitely not going to fall, but this thing was coated in ice. I mean, we're talking about each of the little pine needles probably were about 1/4 of an inch thick full of ice. It was crazy. I'm going to do a little bit of journaling up here, not journaling, stamping up here at the top, and this is going to fill in the gap between my ice in the edge of the paper, because obviously ice is just too short. So I'm stamping currently recorded details. It's 3 different stamps, but putting together it just says, so it'll say ice expedition, currently recorded details. It just seemed kind of fitting for me. So I'm going to start gluing down my pennants, not pennants, but pennants, or my banners, or whatever you want to call these. And I'm just making sure I kind of line them up to make it go across an imaginary ribbon that is there. I thought about like drawing a ribbon or putting a ribbon, but I did not want to mess it up, and so I give up on that. And of course I don't stamp currently properly, so you got a nice view of my hair there for a moment. But I've just got currently recorded details there. Putting up my stamps, and then I'm going to end up going back and gluing down the rest of this, and I will spare you watching me glue down each one of these. But there is the finished title. I've got the Ice Expedition, or 2016 edition that I had put down here on just a piece of scrap paper. I had to let it sit there for a minute and make sure I did like it, and I do. So I went ahead and just layer that on the bottom of my photo cluster. And I'm kind of figuring out where I want to put my journaling, and it's going to go where I had thought it was originally, but it's not going to go in the way that I have now. Now I cut out a few of these little word strips from one of the scrap pieces of paper, and it says photos from today, good times, and best ever. And it's just in that teal color. So I've got gray, navy, and teal pretty much going on in this layout. And I really like the fact that it's kind of a little bit simpler. And I thought about putting my journaling on this tag, and it says happy place on it, but I'm going to cut it down to where you really can't see the place part, and it just has more of the teal shape in the background. But again, not going to stay this way because I can't decide what I want. It just, as you can tell, it's not, I don't feel settled with it. So yeah, it's not going to stay this way. It's not going to stay this way at all. So this is where I'm like, okay, I'm going to kind of make it work, trying to decide if I want the white side, if I want the teal side, but it just looks like a sore thumb to me. Like it's just not working. So I'm going to stop for a moment, look at it, do a couple other things, see if I want to use any of these puffy stickers, see what else I want to include. As you can see, that journaling is still sitting there. It's still not totally done. And I start playing around with these enamel dots to bring a little bit of teal up here to the top. But I thought about layering my journaling on top of a little label to see if that helps. I'll let that sit for a little bit. Again, as you can see, this layout's coming together quite slowly because I cannot decide what I want to do. I have some washi tapes that I had pulled out that are the same colors. Again, excuse my dishwasher. I swear I think I say that in every single video. I'm sorry. It makes this like squealing noise. And of course, I wash dishes every time I'm doing a layout or a voiceover because, as you moms or parents know, you try to multitask as much as possible. I mean, humanly possible is probably not even it, because I'm sure half of it's not really humanly possible, but we try to do as much as we possibly can at one time. And so I am doing dishes, doing laundry, and doing this voiceover and cleaning up my office while Ernest is at the gym with Kaylin, because I have an hour to myself that's quiet. And so I'm trying to do as much as I possibly can. So there's that little journaling strip that I'm going to finally settle on with my final journaling. And you're going to see that it does make a visual difference to the layout. That teal piece, I think, was just too heavy and bulky right there beside my photo. So me doing my journaling on a thinner white little piece of journaling card is a lot less. It makes a lot less of an impact on the layout itself, and I just like the visual weight of that a little bit better. So I'm going to put it right here exactly where this other one is, but it's going to be thinner, it's going to be lighter. See, there you go. It's a lot better. And then I am going to add a label underneath of it just to bring in a little bit of teal and kind of connect it to the photo cluster itself. So that is the way that final journaling, though it took me absolutely forever, 3 times it took me to get to this point. And then kind of the final little bit that I'm going to add is I'm looking for something blue to include down here on the bottom right of the photo. So I have this blue tag that I had die cut with my Cricut machine years ago. I'm talking like maybe 5 years ago. And then I'm just going to cut it down a little bit and stick it right there beside my photo just to bring a little bit of that blue down here. And then it's also going to, I'm going to layer a few more small elements on top of that. Decide I don't like those teal enamel dots, and I'm going to pull out some rhinestones instead. So these rhinestones I had purchased, I think I had purchased them. They may have been gifted to me, but I've had them for quite some time. They're pearls and rhinestones, and I have a bunch of them. And I've actually kind of slowly been using them, and I really kind of like them. Whenever I want something not quite as big as an enamel dot, these rhinestones are kind of what I go to. And then I have those really pretty glittered hearts from Martha Stewart Crafts. It's got pink, silver, and red, and they're in all different sizes. And I think those are really pretty. They're a nice little element to be able to add to a layout as well. And they're very thin. They're kind of, they're a little bit thicker. No, they're probably about the same thickness as washi tape, but they're not transparent. So I'm going to put 3 of those right here on this layout, and then add a few more rhinestones over top of those. And then there is a card that I had cut up to do that journaling. You can see it on the right bottom part of the screen that says Mamarazzi, and it has a camera in the navy and the teal. I'm going to go ahead and trim that out and put it right next to the 2016 for 2016 edition. And that's going to end up finishing this layout. A very simple layout overall. It took me quite a while to get to this point, but a very simple layout, and I'm extremely happy with the way that it turned out. I'm still working with my stash kit. I have my Kit Day Thursday videos that are going up for you guys. And then of course I've had like a lot of haul videos here recently, and I keep finding good deals, so I don't think those are going to stop anytime soon. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys like this, and I will be back soon with another video. Thank you.